Recording in progress.
Paul, we have access here at home into, I know this, into the network.
Yeah.
So right now happening, there is Christina Ross. So if you can just reach out to Rosalinda and and then Kiara. See if everything's okay. I'll call Kiara if you want to call.
So, Commissioner Ross, we're still waiting on at least one more person to join.
Sounds good, thank you.
Hello, may I speak with Amanda?
She's giving up.
Good evening.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening. We are pretty much live, and looks like we have a quorum.
Can we just call forward? That is it. There was a little girl, I was gonna hang up on her. Hi, Amanda, it's Tina. We were
Hey, Tina, how are you?
I was just trying to call you, and I guess your daughter or one of your children picked up the phone. So
Oh,
she said you were in a meeting, so I figured
here
this
I
is
am.
the meeting.
He's like, I want to play Minecraft with my friends, and I'm like, if anybody calls. So sorry,
She
I was having
answered
tech
it.
issues. It was saying that I was joining as a panelist, but I hadn't seen that before, so I thought I had the wrong link.
Oh, okay, all right.
Okay.
We reached out to Rosalinda, and she hasn't answered yet. But we do have a quorum. Is that your little guy? Oh, cute.
He's like, somebody called. At least he's being very responsible. Thank you, son.
Oh, that's sweet.
I did hear. Did you see Rosalinda's email that she could not make it?
Oh, I did not see that. The last email I got was from Jerry, and she said that she was available. Okay, thank you.
And I didn't hear from Victoria Murray either.
I didn't either, just everyone else. Okay, but we do have a quorum, so we can get started.
Okay, wonderful. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 6:06. Christina, do you want to do the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure. All right, we stand in here. Okay, Ready, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag of
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Christina. And then you do roll call, right, Tina?
Yes, I'll do a roll call vote. Commissioner Sanchez contacted and said that she wasn't available today. Commissioner Murray, I have not received any contact information, and this is the second meeting that she has missed. Commissioner Ross,
Present.
Vice Chair Rojas,
Here.
and Chair Chiato.
Here. Tina, do we have verification of the agenda posting?
Yes, the agenda was posted at the Hollister Community Center and City Hall on October 8th, 2021, per Government Code 54954.2.
Thank you, Tina. Did everybody have a chance to look over the minutes, the September meeting minutes?
Yes.
Okay. Would somebody like a motion, make a motion to approve the September minutes?
I will approve.
And I'll second that.
I'll do a roll call vote. The records will show that Commissioner Sanchez and Commissioner Murray are not present. Commissioner Ross,
Approved.
Commissioner Rojas, or Vice Chair Rojas, I'm sorry,
Approved.
and Chair Chiato.
I approve.
Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you, Tina. Do we have any public comment?
We have no public in the chambers and we have no public on Zoom.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to old business. Old business number 1 is to discuss or revisit the bylaws.
Did everyone have a chance to review the bylaws? And I liked the way it worked last time where we went into Google Docs to kind of make some changes in there. Does everyone have that link? Can they pull it up to go over
Yes.
the bylaws?
I'm going to pull that up right now.
In the email, I did send the city's vision and values that's part of the general plan. So if we can incorporate some of this language into the vision, I think we said we will stick with a vision and a mission statement.
Mm-hmm.
I think we put some of that language in there. Chair Chiato, if you would like to lead this, sorry.
No problem. I'm sorry. I was just trying to pull up that link.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there definitely is some of the language here. I think we worked quite long, and I thought it was a really valuable conversation around mission and vision. So I guess one of the questions, I don't know, Tina, can I refer to Jennifer Lane from the Arts Council's email about the general plan and the mission and vision that we discussed in the last meeting?
Yes.
Okay, so following our last meeting, and maybe I don't know if I need to I can share the email. Jennifer Lane from the executive director of the California, I'm sorry, I'm a little frazzled. The San Benito County Arts Council had some questions about whether we needed a mission and vision and or whether well, whether we needed it right now in advance of accepting or approving the bylaws, and if that was something that really should kind of function in the same capacity as the adoption of the vision and values of the general plan that had a lot of public input. And so I hadn't really thought about it in that way. I'm new to this position and to the roles and responsibilities of this position. But I did want to bring it back to the group to discuss whether that is something that we should move forward with, the really concrete bylaws that are separate from the mission and vision, and then get some input, maybe talk to Todd Bressie, co-develop it either with him or with some other more like potential more data or insight from the community, since we are public servants, and what do they want us to do versus what do we want to do? So, and I'm not sure how other ACCs have functioned either. Have they also adopted that mission vision after kind of just the more like pragmatic, bylaws? So it's a good question for the group, and I agree. I mean, I think it might be frustrating for the community if they think that 3 people came up with a plan that affects everybody. So I think it's a point of discussion, and maybe we can talk about that.
What I would recommend is, if we wanted to just pass the bylaws, we could start with Article 1 where it says the commission, and this language right here is very similar to the rest of the city's commissions, which include planning, airport, and parks and recreation. And then we can pass these bylaws, and then our mission and vision or values, however we decide to put it, can be a separate document.
Is it needed? Absolutely, I guess is what we're saying, right away to pass these bylaws, to send them to, the city council for approval so we can get things started. I was kind of looking at other, I'm sure as we all have, other commissions, with neighboring cities. And it kind of was just very plain and simple. They're kind of just like, hey, it's the 5 of us that are appointed by the city council. We act as liaisons with the community, with local artists. And I mean, you know what I mean? It's just, it's very, very simple, a very simple breakdown. Instead of having this whole paragraph of wishful thinking or what our plans are or what all these things that we want to do, which, like we said last meeting, we're not even sure if we can truly accomplish, right? So it's kind of, I get what everyone's saying, and I am all for hurrying it up and, just so we can, because we've already spent maybe 3 meetings just trying to create bylaws. So I don't know what anybody else thinks or.
I'm sorry that I missed last week, but I did look through this, and I hear what both of you are saying, and I think like Commissioner or Chair Kyoto was saying about involving the community with the mission and vision. I think that sounds good. And then Vice Chair Rojas, having it simple could possibly be a really good benefit for us because we're not narrowing things down too much. It makes it a little bit broader. Right.
I also don't want to diminish any kind of, so that's why I guess I'm a little bit kind of, I guess confused. Is it really something that we need? Do we really need to have a mission, statement, or can we just, like Chair Chiato said, can we just, kind of pass something just so we can get the show on the road and then maybe come back to it at a different time? Or does everything have to be kind of, done all in one?
We could pass, beginning with Article 1, where it says the commission. On the doc, I don't have page numbers. I don't see a page number, but it says begins with the commission, then it continues on to different sections. And then it talks about Article 2, the committee members. And then it continues on down. So it looks like it's maybe page 3 of 8. That could be approved. Those are bylaws, and we can approve that if the commission would like to move forward.
Section 4, duties and responsibilities. I mean, that's pretty much what a mission statement would be too, correct?
Correct. And then this also allows us to bring in representative from the youth art commit or youth that's into the arts, and maybe a non-voting representative from the San Benito Art Council. Mm-hmm. And then we could move forward with business.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a really great recommendation, and I would love to see how the community and our other, stakeholders, especially the arts, the youth arts representative, might envision, the future of the ACC. And I like what you said, Vice Chair Rojas, that there is some meat to the duties and responsibilities here that really give us some ground to move forward.
Do you think it would be less likely to pass? Because you said it does have to be reviewed by the council members, correct?
Yes.
Would there be a chance of not being approved because we wouldn't have something hardy like a mission statement to kind of introduce what this commission is? Or do you think they would still pass it with just having the laws and all that information?
I think that our council will support what's here. And then in my report, I would let our council know that the ACC is also working on a mission and vision. Once these bylaws are approved, they'd like to include a youth advocate and a San Benito Art Council member. And that's why we're choosing to pass these bylaws and kind of take it from there. But I think they'll fully support what's written here.
Okay.
But we would but we would just kind of remove. I would definitely find a way to save what we worked on in the beginning, the vision, right. But it would start with Article 1. That's what the bylaws. I just received an email this afternoon, and I have to add some language on when a commissioner resigns. But that's some simple language that I can add in there, and I can highlight it so that our commissioners can review it.
Right.
So
I think this is a good plan.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys...
Do we make a motion now to approve the bylaws without the mission and vision?
Correct.
Okay. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve the bylaws without the mission and vision and potentially adopt those at a later date?
I'll approve that motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, roll call vote. The records will show that Commissioner Sanchez and Commissioner Murray were not present. Commissioner Ross?
Approved.
Vice Chair Rojas?
Approve.
And Chair Chiara?
I approve.
Motion passes 3-0.
May I ask a question, Tina?
Yes.
I just was looking at the bylaws here, and on the end of the first page, it's discussing the attendance policy. What about Victoria Murray? If we lose a commissioner due to resignation or unexcused absences, how do we proceed?
I reach out to Commissioner Murray. I know my staff hasn't been able to get in touch with her. In our In these bylaws, it says we would inform the commissioner by a letter. So I'd have to put something together that he or she has reached 2 unexcused absences. And then I would also need to talk to her representative, a city council representative. And I forget who that is. It's on another document, but I can find out. So long story, I would just have to submit a letter to her.
And then sorry, go ahead, Chair Rojas.
No, I was just going to say, would we be able to still, since we at least have 4 of our 5 members, until one of the city council members could appoint another commissioner? Like, we wouldn't have to pause our meetings or anything, right?
As long as we have 3 at our meeting. A quorum is 3 people. Mhm.
Thank you, Tina.
Yes.
Okay, we'll go on to old business number 2, update on impact fees.
I received a report from our directive services manager, director, Abraham Prado, in regards to the impact fees and how it could affect the arts. And he met with the advisor, and the advisor informed him that we can use a percentage of commercial buildings for arts. So the planning department will continue to work on some language, present it to council, and council will have to approve it. And then we'll set up a fund through recreation and then start funneling some money. We probably won't see it for a good 6 months to a year, but the opportunity is going to be there for us so that we can continue and either do some sort of art in the park, art and culture festivals, or anything that the commission sees fit. So I was excited to hear that news that there will be some money funneling in for arts and culture.
That's exciting news.
That's wonderful. Tina, do we know anything about any range of money that we could imagine based on what's being built right now, or what, I don't know, do you have any idea what the funding could look like?
I don't at the time, but that's a good question. I know that when Abraham informed me, he said it could be a 1 or 2% of the commercial, built. So I'm sure that I can look at some businesses that were recently approved and built in our community and get a percentage and provide that report next month.
Thank you.
I do have a question. With the new Amazon business in town, is there any way of maybe the commissioners going to these businesses and trying to build partnership to kind of help us out here with our arts and culture? I mean, at any capacity, I don't know if it's, something that they could donate or money that they could donate or space or, something. I mean, how do you recommend we reach out if we even can? What does that look like?
I know there was some discussion about this, and I would have to ask Abraham, who is our planning director, some of those questions, because the idea was Amazon felt that maybe this could happen, that once they open, everyone's going to go to them for sponsorships. But
Right.
They want to stay committed to the community. So the advice at that time was just to work with Abraham. So let me follow up with him also, and I can give that information at the next meeting.
Right.
So
I know
I'm
we
just
also
gonna,
have a few, a couple tech companies out here. And we also have, a lot of coffee shops too. I mean, I'm just thinking of just different kinds of businesses that I don't know if they were approached, what would we say? What would we do? What would, people just don't give people money for nothing or their time or space or anything. It's, I guess maybe the further we go along with this commission, the more ideas that we, start building together, maybe have more of a stronger pitch to maybe, have the community help out when they can.
Absolutely. I think they have been approached. But I feel from what I understood is they would like to work with the city. So that's where I will reach out. Abram has a good relationship with Amazon right now, so I'll just reach out and ask him some of those questions that you have.
I have one more question, Tina. When you say a 1% to 2% of commercial builds, is that a one-time percentage off the top, or is that anything that is paid annually or anything like that? Or
I'm not sure in the details. Those, you guys have some really good questions, and I appreciate your questions. If there are any others, let me know, and I'll provide these reports next month. So, Chair Chiato, just to understand, you would like to know if that's a one-time percentage, or
yes.
or is it paid annually?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds just by the language, like the language around the word build, right? That it would be like an initial kind of upfront fee.
Okay.
But I don't know if there's anything around building that out in a different capacity to maximize dollars. I'm not sure, but okay, that sounds great.
Yeah, those are good
It's very
questions.
exciting.
Just to clarify, go back, like a report on an estimated amount that we could receive from the commercial builds, sponsorship opportunities, and then one-time money, if it's paid annually. We just want some clarification on that one. Anything else?
Maybe not so much about the fees, but let's say we had a local artist approach one of us and say that they had an idea for, an art piece or a sculptor. Do we have city property that could be, I guess, in other words, lent out for said, art piece, sculpture? And is there like time limits? Could the city eventually buy it if it really attracted attention? I'm just thinking, because I saw this one idea. Saratoga kind of did this acorn kind of hunt where they created these like sculptor acorns and they put them all around the city, and it kind of attracted people to kind of like a scavenger hunt, to kind of bring the city, people to, to different places around town, take pictures, this kind of stuff. And that's just an idea maybe in the future, but how, I don't want to be approached and then really have no kind of, I don't really sure if we have property where you can put that on, or if there's a cost or what that looks like.
At this time, we don't have anything established. I think the Public Art Review Committee has some language where it has to, any art within the city boundaries has to go through the park and park group, and they have to approve it. Right now, that kind of supersedes our bylaws or anything that we're trying to create, because park was approved through council and it's a resolution, and our information, our bylaws have not been approved. So I think we have sent over. I can resend the park resolution and their policies, and it should have some of that language in there.
Right, thank you.
I had a couple of questions. What is our connection then with the Public Art Review Committee?
At this time, we don't have a connection because we haven't approved and nothing has been approved. So if there is someone that comes to our meetings and would like to present an art sculpture, donate it or place it somewhere in the city, of course, I would let council know, but it does go through park right now. because we don't have any bylaws or any policies approved.
So once our bylaws are approved, that will begin to go through us.
Yes, and we have to, let me see, I closed it, but I want to say I put some language in there on park, but I'm not sure.
And then what will the responsibilities be of park after that?
I think that, go ahead,
Sorry.
Chair Chiara.
I was just going to say, I think we had determined, and I was looking also for that too in the bylaws, is that it would be like an ad hoc committee that we would call on in cases where we needed the support of park, since it was a public art, they're the experts. I think that's, Chair Rojas, do you want to chime in on that?
I'm sorry, I was reading the laws. Say that again. I was trying to look for it as well.
I think when we talked about park and when we had after we had the presentation,
Right.
we talked about shifting them into like an ad hoc committee that we would call on or utilize when a situation came to the ACC that was really focused more on public art.
Right. Tina, you did say that we are a wing under the Parks and Rec, right? And
So park is Public Art Review Committee.
That's
I know. I remember when Jennifer first started talking about it, I was thinking of our parks, so it was a little, but so right now that group, I'm just going to call it the group right now, kind of oversees the ACC when it comes to any type of approval of public art in the city limits. And once we pass our bylaws and we within the language, we state that park would be an ad hoc kind of a committee to the ACC, then anytime a person comes forward and would like art or sculpture or design or a mural, ACC would approve that.
So, and then what would be Park's role? I'm just wondering, it sounds like there's a lot of overlap here.
At our last meeting, we kind of talked about just keeping Park close to us. They did a lot of this legwork, and Chair Chiara, you can probably have winced when they started. I want to say 2008, 2010 maybe. So they did a lot of this, provided a lot of this information and brought it forward and was able to bring arts and culture to a Hollister. And with the ACC, it's kind of underneath the city. So there's now the ability to have some sort of funding source. And that's why we chose to create the ACC, have a funding source to bring in our special events. And Park, I mean not Park, but the Art Council, and Park totally supported it because they understood that they receive a lot of their money from sponsorships or grants, and the income that we're receiving is a little different. So they were in support of continuing to support the ACC as an ad hoc committee. So it sounds like it overlaps a little bit, but ACC would make, would make their recommendations to the council instead of Park.
And so Tina, excuse me, I was just going to say, I don't see it in the bylaws right now about Park being an ad hoc committee. Does that need to be in there before we voted?
Yes.
Unless I have a,
Yes.
Okay.
We do. So, review and recommend special, no. So maybe under duties and responsibilities, no. just kind of meetings, time.
Should it be like under committee members, like ad hoc committees or something like that? Or I was thinking the same thing, where would be the most appropriate location?
Yeah, and then we can add yes, and then we can add a section 5 explaining what the ad hoc.
So I'm thinking maybe the community might want to know each role that our partners play
Yes.
as well, just so it doesn't get muddled. I would hate for all these great organizations to kind of get lost in what their function is and how we all work together.
Okay. So underneath, so it'd be section 8. And we would give a description of kind of like what park would
The
do.
roles.
Mhm.
Maybe the roles that everyone.
Roles of the committee. And that would be to advise.
Yeah, I think it was an advisory function. When it was something that was brought to the ACC that was fundamentally a public art, issue or concept or things like that, that we would bring it to the Public Art Review Committee for advice and recommendations, and then we would discuss that as the ACC, and then, like Gina said, recommend it to the council. I'm pretty sure that's how.
What we talked about? Okay. So I'd advise the ACC, make recommendations for public art.
And I don't know, I'm curious to ask the group, should there be language in there that states something like, as needed, if the ACC will consult with other ad hoc groups that are relevant to the content that we're exploring, and you know what I mean? Because I'm like, we might not have the knowledge as the ACC to bring in a music festival, and that's not going to fall under parks advice either. So I don't know if that language needs to be in there, or if that's just general information that is assumed, since I'm new to this.
In regards to a music festival, park would be the art review, sculptures or what else am I trying to say? Murals or statues of some sort in different areas of the park. But as far as cultural event, music festival, yes, that would probably be a different committee. So how could we write this? So we could write what an ad hoc, the roles of what an ad hoc is, and then underneath them put public art committee and how would we word that?
Well, could we word it as kind of what Chair Kyoto was saying about, as needed, we will consult with ad hoc committees, for instance, park. And then we could list out the roles of the committee members on park.
Okay,
Do
so
we know of that?
okay, so we write as needed, consult with an ad hoc committee, and under that we would not an example, but we would write in park and what park's role. We'd write it out. Park's role.
Right, could be stating that park is one of our ad hoc committees.
Yes.
Case by case basis, because it wouldn't be for every every decision, right? Just like as we said, as needed by case. So,
Right.
Yeah.
I wanted to understand that also, making sure that we're just are we required to reach out to Park for every decision, or it's just when we need advice?
No, we're not required to reach out for anything because you guys are the commissioners and you guys make the decisions. But it was more of an advisory group just because they have a lot of the knowledge, and that's what was discussed at our last meeting. So I guess it would be the decision of the commission right now. I would suggest that it would just be the art within the city limits. Art, which includes, and kind of spell out what it does include: murals, statues, sculptures, and anything else that's more art of the arts.
Like a visual art, is that what you're meaning?
Visual, yeah.
Not
Mhm.
performing, or visual and performing?
I would suggest just the visual.
Okay. And maybe we could just say we currently partner with, or however, with Park.
Okay.
So it's not limited to Park. It's just, we're saying, we know we have this partnership and we want to be transparent about the partnership and who's involved.
Okay. Yes, because if that information is in there, then the council would know that, because they did approve their resolution a couple of years ago, and maybe my years are off right now, but I thought it was in '08. They did approve it, and they did the park committee did a lot of the work, legwork initially, but if our ACC feels that they want to approve this, any type of art within the city limits, then that's strictly up to our commission. Are you guys in favor of park as an advisory kind of, where they make recommendations?
yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I think we definitely, as an ACC, should be, the one to make these decisions, but I have no issue at all getting recommendation or advice or suggestions from other established art groups in the city.
Okay.
They have, I think, from what I understood, a very small amount of what the group did. And what I did get to hear from Jennifer Lane was just a lot of informative stuff around contracts and logistics, stuff like that, which I think would be very, very helpful to the ACC.
Okay. I think that we should, I know you guys voted on it, but I really feel like we need to have that correct language of the ad hoc and what it includes, if it's going to include park or other committees.
Mm-hmm.
I would, it's tough, but I would suggest that we kind of resend that vote that we voted on earlier to pass these bylaws, because I want to make sure that we are all on the same page and that what we're understanding, what staff is understanding is what the commission wants, and finding that language. I need to review the language of park too.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay.
How do we rescind a vote? Does
Just-
it just happen, or do we have to vote on it?
Yeah, just make, it would be a motion.
Would somebody like to make a motion to rescind the vote for the approval of the bylaws?
Just for a correction, yes, I approve it. Just to give it one more edit.
I second that.
Commissioner Sanchez, I see you are on Zoom. Thank you for attending. Would you like to, what happened earlier is we voted on the bylaws, But then we realized that some of the language from park was not in the bylaws. So this last time we rescinded that, the motion. It wasn't a vote, it was a motion. So you can sustain from voting, or you can vote. If you were, I didn't see how long you've been in the meeting. Did you get?
I've been probably listening for the last, I don't know, 7-8 minutes, something like that. But I do have a question. Does that mean that we could potentially, say, get advice from groups that are outside of the city or outside of the county? There again, as, people who can just give us information, or is it limited to having advisors within the city limits?
It doesn't have to be within the city limits. Us being new to this is a very new commission, so first ever. So maybe getting advice from others or other agencies. But what we're doing here is park right now. So our public art review committee, they approve any artwork contracts within the city limits. That's a resolution where it stands right now. Because our ACC, we don't have any bylaws, we don't have any policies on public art. And until the ACC kind of approves their bylaws and moves forward, park supersedes the ACC when it comes to a public art review and decision as to whether art can go up in the city, within the city limits. So that's what we were trying to kind of work on right now.
If I understand correctly too, from the last meeting, was Park also saying that they were kind of taking a break right now, that they weren't necessarily active? Is that right?
Correct. The only thing that they would work on is if someone brought forward or a group brought forward some art to be displayed within the city limits. Then they would meet for that.
They were waiting on the ACC for direction of their function and how they could serve the ACC. So then if we have them in the bylaws, whatever advisory capacity we want them in, then we could call on them to reconvene for advice. And then I think in the City of Hollister Public Art Policy and the resolution, I think that overview of the public art policy document, I think it has some really good language that you could probably pull from really distinctly and modify it a bit just to shift the capacity piece to an advisory role. I think would be, you wouldn't have to reinvent the wheel, I think.
Okay, thank you.
So if they're in an advisory capacity, does that mean that they no longer supersede the council?
Correct.
Once they're in advisory, correct. They would not, the commission would make their recommendations to the city council.
Got it. Okay.
So in other words, you want to put that language in so that people have a clear understanding, but once we get the ACC bylaws passed, then we would make those decisions and they would just be advisory. Absolutely
correct, yes. Yep.
So essentially they're sort of surrendering that ability to be the final decision makers in that capacity. Is that right?
Yes, and that's when we first started talking in regards to the ACC and kind of forming the commission, they did speak and they supported the fact that the city is looking into creating this new commission. Mm-hmm. So Park supports what we are doing right now.
Got it. Okay.
So do does Rosalinda have to vote? Or I'm sorry, Commissioner Commissioner
We
Sanchez
still,
will vote,
oh, thank you.
if she wants to.
Well, I started thinking, I think she would have to abstain because she did not vote on the first motion. But we would just write in the minutes that, of course, she was present, so she abstained. Because, I'm just kind of writing notes, because she didn't vote on the first motion. Okay. Was there a motion and there was a second to rescind the motion? There was a motion by Vice Chair Rojas with a second by Commissioner Ross.
Yes.
Commissioner Sanchez, I think if, once I call on you, you would abstain from the motion. And then I'll write it in the minutes, yes.
Okay. I abstain from the vote.
Thank you. The records will show Commissioner Murray was not present at the meeting. Commissioner Ross?
Approved. Yeah, sorry. Sorry, rescinded? Is that what?
At this time, we rescinded the motion, so you would say either yes, no, or yay or nay, however you felt.
Yes.
Fit. Yes. Okay.
Yay.
Vice Chair Rojas
Yes.
and Chair Chiato.
Yes.
The record will show the motion was passed 3-0 and Commissioner Sanchez abstained. Okay. All right. That is.
Thank you. Okay,
Great
we're
work.
going to move on to new business. Number 1, receive information on the arts and culture plans set out in the general plan.
This information, we're going to have to table it until our next meeting. We reached out to, I forget the person's name, but the firm that helped with the general plan. And originally he was available, and then he realized he had a meeting, but we have him scheduled for our next ACC meeting.
Is that Todd Bressy?
Yes, that's his name. Yes, thank you.
Okay. I'll
write his name down. Bressy.
And this is just to include the ACC into the general plan? Hopefully.
I think that the general plan has, I'm not sure if it was approved. I'm going to take that back. I don't know. But what Todd would like is going to present is the discussion on how arts and culture fits into the general plan.
All right.
Yes.
And then I was thinking, or I was hoping also, like, if we move on to develop our own mission, vision, values, how we can really be kind of integrated with what that looks like for arts and culture in the general plan and our work as the ACC.
Right.
So I'm excited to hear.
Yeah, I think those will be great questions for him to see how once we complete this, how the work of the current ACC can be placed into the general plan. And then I will, on my end, I will also ask I will ask Abraham if we can add any information. So I'll report that also next week.
Thank you for setting that up, Tina.
Yes. Or next month, not next week, sorry.
Okay, we can move on to commissioner comments.
Do we have any commissioner comments?
I just wanted to say that next Tuesday, I'm hosting again the Arts Collaborative with the County Office of Education, and everybody's welcome. It's in my classroom, room 347. on Nash Road. And it's from 4 to 5:30. I'll send out another invite for it.
Okay, I was just gonna ask. Thank you.
Along those lines, Commissioner Ross, I had been meaning to ask you either to report on or talk about, and then for my personal interest, because I was working with you on it, was the mental health awareness team for the high school.
Yes, I've been wanting to get back into that. So I'll reach back out. I'll be honest, my dad has terminal cancer, so I've been dealing with trying to, spend as much time with him as possible. So, but I am definitely wanting to get that back up. So I think I might send out an email and just see who would kind of like to take the lead. I'm happy to host it. Chair Chiato is talking about this. I've mentioned it several times, I think, about the awareness campaign, awareness team. And so it's really trying to get the students to lead it. And I know a lot of students are really interested, and my students are going to be doing their campaigns. So connecting after school so that organizations outside of school can be a part of it. So thank you for reminding me of that. I'll send out an email. And if anybody here is interested, I can include you on the email.
Commissioner Ross, can you include me? I know that we've been trying to work with the San Benito County Behavioral Health on possibly kind of like some events, something to do with the mental health awareness. So if we can help out in a way, or if we can bring San Benito County Behavioral Health in, I think that they could have some funding to help out with anything that needs to be done to move forward with this awareness group.
That would be wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. My thoughts.
Chair Chiato, you're breaking up a little bit.
I just wanted to say thank you to Commissioner Ross, and I just wanted to tell her that my thoughts are with her. Are there any other commissioner comments?
I equally want to send my thoughts.
Thank you.
Are there any other commissioner comments?
I'll just share one thing from my work with the Arts Council. We were very excited to launch some of our big arts and education programs last week. And countywide at Tres Pinos, Aroma San Juan, and Hollister School District, we have 111 art and music classes happening per week for almost the entire school year, and we're happy to be able to partner with Canta too, who's bringing voice and ukulele to Aroma San Juan. And so just really happy to get the arts back in the classroom and start some healing. And so just real proud of that. And we're already getting lots of stories from students about their positive experiences. So I just hope to continue to do that work and expand it through our work here at the ECC too, to reach, every resident in San Benito County.
Congratulations. It's very, very awesome news.
Yeah, that's great.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you.
Chair Chiato, if you can also share that with us so that maybe recreation staff can find a way to kind of spread that word too. And we get a lot of calls in regards to art and any type of creative design that children have the opportunity, we always refer them to the San Benito Art Council. Not Art Council, but San Benito Arts and to Conta. But if there's something else we can provide, then information that's also in their classrooms, then maybe they can be aware. It's just more of an
Great, yeah,
awareness.
and that did make me think of one other announcement to share. Next week is like the Global Cardboard Challenge. So it's like a global initiative around celebrating the art of creative play. And we, as the Arts Council, just encourage the community to make anything they can imagine out of cardboard and then recycle it. And it's just a wonderful program because it's free. I think I mentioned it before, but it's next week. So that's a fun thing to do as a family or to push out there. And, I'm a big fan of, utilizing resources and things that are high interest and low cost, especially, to keep kids engaged.
Nice.
Any other final commissioner comments? Okay, so we can set our next meeting for November 9th, 2021. And I just had a clarifying question for you, Tina, when I was looking at the bylaws. Do we not have a meeting in December?
The meeting in December, typically our Parks and Recreation Commission and Art Commission, not our Art Commission, but our Parks and Recreation Commission does not meet in December. There's a lot of holidays, winter programs for children's schools. So the records show that we cancel our meetings in December. But this is a vote for the ACC as to whether whether the group would want to have a meeting in December. I can add it to next month's agenda, and there can be some discussion about it if we'd like to move forward on a meeting in December. The meeting would be, let me pull up my calendar very quickly. The meeting would be December 14th. Just so you guys are aware. For our Parks and Recreation Commission, we have in November, we sometimes will have a special meeting just because sometimes it would fall under Thanksgiving, and then they do not meet in December because a majority of the commission is out for the holidays.
Thank you for that clarification.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if there are no further comments, we can, if someone would like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 7:05, or I will say that at the end, sorry. Would someone like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 7:05.
No, second that motion.
Roll call vote. Commissioner Sanchez?
Saying here.
The records will show that Commissioner Murray was not present. Commissioner Ross?
Approved. Yes.
Vice Chair Rojas?
Yes.
And Chair Chiato?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0 with Commissioner Murray absent. Thank you, everyone. Looks like I have a lot of work to do for our next meeting. So if there's anything else, please email me, but I will try to send out a quick email a week prior to our next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Tina.
everyone.
Yes.
Take
Have
care.
a great rest of your week. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.